Yeah, hello Kenny.
Hi, Praful.
Yeah, so today we'll just discuss about the new thing we introduce, like Twindle thread and what is the
Hmm,
relevance of it.
hmm,
Okay.
hmm. Yeah,
Uh, so let me see that. So under the Twindle repository, right, we have created another project. Currently, Puru is working. So anybody interested, they can extend
hmm,
help or can understand at least.
hmm.
The main idea is that, right, we have like Twindle CLI project. This
Yeah,
Twindle CLI project where we can pass that thread ID or Twitter thread ID and we can get the PDF,
yeah,
right? That is the basic functionality, and that PDF can be delivered
yes,
into the Kindle.
yeah,
So this is how the CLI will look like npm this node days or node index file hyphen I and tweet ID. So the next question
hmm,
is that how a user will approach to find the tweet ID.
okay,
There are different ways. They usually go to the Twitter
hmm,
and they search for some, you know, uh, better thread ID and they'll
right,
try it, run it and other things. So one or two it is looks reasonable, but most of the new user, right, don't know which thread ID to read,
hmm,
which are popular one because Twitter is not giving any pro capability to sort it, filter it, and highlight any kind of popular thread.
got it.
Yeah. So this Twindle thread project is trying to address that particular issue.
Okay, okay,
So it no need to be overly complicated. It would be user
hmm,
generated content, but it
hmm,
see for example I use like 10 thread, right? So
hmm,
I try to post it and save it somewhere so that if you are coming and if you go to this Twindle thread, it is a web application. It would have front
hmm,
layer as well as backend layer. So you should able
hmm.
to open that list and you should able to see which thread I am reading.
Okay, got it.
So that if you want to generate PDF by yourself, you can just run the program and you know
Hmm,
PDF will be generated. So you don't need to search on that. It is based on a small recommendations system. Like I recommend, and
yes,
in the it will go other way also. You find some other interesting tweet thread.
hmm,
So you
hmm,
put the link and submit that URL. Like just you
hmm.
can say like it is a bookmarking because bookmarking is also same, right? That is for personal
Yeah,
consumption. So you like this link and you just
yeah,
click on this bookmark, it will be saved into personal. There is some
hmm,
way to share it, but usually don't share it. But this Twindle thread, right? It is like very
hmm,
simplified version of the bookmark of the URL, but it can be publicly
hmm,
available, accessible. So if you are sharing, I can see that, and if I save it, you can say that.
hmm. Got it.
Do you think it would be helpful?
Yeah, I think I've also wondered several times. Okay, Praful is saying that he is reading a lot of nice articles or nice tweet threads. So I was wondering, okay, how can I get those into my Kindle app? So that I think solves a pain point that many of us would be having. And collectively, I think that all of us looking through Twitter would find a lot of different variety of threads. So I think in that sense, it would be good to have a curated list.
Yeah. Exactly. That's the main intention. That is the reason I bring in this priority immediately because once we have already the Twindle CLI working, next step is to discover and convert it.
Mm,
That is
mm,
what we have
yes.
to address it, so that people can use our Twindle CLI.
Yeah.
And before going to technical stack, let me discuss about it is the minimum viable product, right? We should start very small.
Mm,
We should try
mm, yeah.
to address our core issue instead of
Mm,
worrying about too much complexity at this stage. Okay.
mm, mm,
So basically, it should allow this Twindle thread. We should allow the ability to save a new thread. Means you copy the tweet
yeah.
thread means nothing but the tweet ID, or you can either pass the tweet ID Like what is exposed here, right? This tweet ID
Hmm. Yeah.
or
Yeah.
the entire URL. We can extract the tweet ID from it. So if somebody
Yeah.
save it, right? It is a simple form. Maybe one button like your favorite
Hmm.
tweet ID or tweet thread. It will submit it.
Hmm.
So it will go and store into the database.
Hmm.
Because we need to store the DB and we have to access it, that's the reason backend is needed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And once we set the tweet ID, right, we need some kind of information, even though I don't like to gather that, but it would be helpful to information like, relevant to that particular tweet. For example, it will be description so that we can just, for example, if you pass tweet ID, right, we need some kind of this hacker news kind of template. It should be very simple,
Hmm.
least way. Like, we need that
Got
initially
it.
few one sentence of that thread ID, so which will give an idea
Hmm.
about which thread this is about, right? Only by if you give it tweet ID, it doesn't make sense. I may not be interested in reading that.
Yeah, there is no information there, just a number.
Yeah, so we need to pull out, because if you ask user to submit all this information, it won't be user friendly, right?
Yeah.
So that once the Twitter ID give, that's the reason we have to call a Twitter API. But because there is no limitation in terms of 7 days restriction, I believe, based on Twitter ID, we can get and extract that information, and we can just display
Yes.
some few words.
Yeah, I think we can get the user profile. I mean, I think all the details are available. We don't have any restriction in that tweet ID API.
Yeah, and also I think tweet ID also we will get that we need the username only. We don't need any other information at this stage. Only that
Yeah.
some kind of some one-liner description, and it is created by whom? For example, Naval or the thing. And also some information we can extract. For example, like or created by date when it is created, and the retweet. You like, retweet, and comment, number of comment. Number of comment is optional, but if you get number of like, number of retweet, that will give an indication that how popular it is.
Yeah.
Because if somebody is give one thread personally, they will do marketing, but it is not very popular. That means it is not worth it to read it, right?
Got it.
If, for example, new in Hacker News, lots of people keep on posting, but it is we can allow them to post, but that won't come into the homepage.
Yeah.
You got it. So based upon the like and retweet, we can come up with some kind of algorithm to give it, let's say, like will give low percentage 0.08 multiplied factor, and retweet will give 1.5 because retweet is more relevance, and comment will be 2, and something like that. We can come up with the kind of one score. Based upon the score, the homepage will be rendered.
Yeah.
Because the second is looks simple, but the way it come into the top page, right, it is extremely complicated.
Yeah.
So no need to worry at this stage. We can come up with that kind of mathematical model later. But basically, once we'll pass the tweet ID and save that thread, then we'll fetch some basic information. For example, who are created, who liked it, and how many retweets are there, and how many comments are there, to get some kind of idea that how popular it is. Nothing else. We don't give a shit about like how many like and retweet it has. That is not relevant for me. And I'm not interested to show it also. We can show it here, but it is not the main idea. The main idea is to help people to say that this is popular or not popular.
Yeah. Got it.
And once we store the DB, so we can display in a Hacker News way. I mean, this should be the structure I'm thinking about, like new or best, very basic category, And also one tag I would like to introduce. For example, here, right, future and discussion GitHub like tag. If you can add something, because Hacker is not using tag. But for example, our threads may be technical, maybe JavaScript, maybe,
Yeah, got it.
maybe some business related, politics related. So if you initially only we can create some, tag, it would be helpful.
Yeah, we can organize it better.
Yeah, so we can search it better. And the voting is there in
Mm,
Hacker News, but I don't think voting is needed at this stage, because voting will be
mm,
helpful if the community is bigger.
yeah.
If they engage more, then we can get a quality voting outcome. But if that,
Mm,
but that is not the targeted, right? Because our community is small one at this stage. That would be deep
yeah.
down feature. If the community is grown, then we can introduce voting, and comment also not necessary, because we don't want people to. We just want people to copy the link and run the program and get the PDF. That's it. And we don't want them to
Mm,
discuss, because we
mm,
don't have the community here. So building that comment
yeah.
functionality and voting functionality is not going to solve any purpose at this stage.
Got it. Yeah. That sounds
Yeah, but I'm not saying that we should not do that. People may have,
good.
but it is like we can anyway implement later point of time when we see that community is
Yeah.
growing,
Yeah.
and
Exactly. First, we need the minimum thing. So now this is the minimum thing without the comments.
yeah, and the minimum thing is really essential, right? As you said, want to use. I said what I want to write kinesis. That will solve the purpose.
Yeah.
That is more
Exactly.
important rather than building
Mm,
some fancy thing. It's just for the namesake. We can build anything, but if it is not relevant at this stage, better not to build it.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the tagging is important, and getting some kind of which one to display prominently, it will be important, because if you don't display, like put some algorithm, right, then what will the junk thing will be displayed
Mm,
in the top, so people will be frustrated reading over the crap.
yeah. Exactly.
The number of retweet like will give definitely there may be debatable, but it will definitely give better indication
Mm,
than nothing.
yeah. Exactly.
Okay, so we can filter based upon that, not filter exactly the word, or sorting.
Yeah.
Okay, that I can, okay, but we can just
The filter could be based on the label, probably.
yeah. So sorting based upon the receipt, or more to it, more like other thing, and filtering based upon the tag. I think we can enhance it later.
Mm, sure.
But the tag, I think it would be relevant, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And also there is no authentication needed at this stage. This is a bit debatable,
Okay.
because as we don't have
Mm,
community, right? I am not expecting anybody to come aggressively, and hundreds of thousands of people will come and keep on posting that tweet thread, and it is like, that is not going to happen for at least 1 or 2 months.
yeah. Yeah.
So putting into authentication and making the registration, making them remembering the password, it is a kind of a restraint. That is
Yeah.
the reason as sketch notes also I don't put anything. That doesn't add, because people want to evaluate, right? They will see the thing and copy
Yeah.
the thing and they run the program. That's it. We don't want to put so much restriction on here and there,
Yeah.
because because
Exactly.
because there is no technical limitation. We can do that, and
Mm.
also
We can do that later also.
yeah, we can do that later. Because now
Mm,
anybody will open that form page and submit that thread. And if there is
mm.
some junk thread, right, we can able to delete from database. But Puru saying that we want to create some basic admin capabilities.
Okay.
So where we can see the tweet and we can delete it. It will see the most probably same page. If you give admin or something, like it will come delete button, then we can delete it. That is also a lot of people do that.
Mm, mm,
It won't visible for the normal user,
Okay.
but if you see the
Mm,
same list, if let's say some junk people or some kind of not randomly or unwantedly people can post some thread ID which is getting
mm,
404 error or something, we can delete it.
Yeah.
But that no need to build an authentication system for that. Okay, the same page,
Yeah.
I think we can come up with a delete button. We can just pass some like hash admin or hash some kind of like slash, or we pass some parameter, like give some hash code, like some random
Mm,
ID.
mm,
That random ID will remember. If
mm,
whoever want to use delete it. Even though nobody will, if somebody is doing that any bad thing, then we can street the process. I'm in the sketch
mm,
notes. I'm learning live for so many 5-6 months. Lots of people create. Nobody
mm,
delete each other post. You know, where nobody
mm,
generally do the bad thing.
mm. Okay.
Even though, see, this data is not any bank record, this is nothing confidential. And also I'll make sure that I'll write a cron job and I'll back up the data, in my SQL dump I'll create. Even though some problem will, you can restore it. We'll lose some 1-2 record. That's it.
Yeah. That's fine. That's fine.
And building a authentication for admin also not needed. And building a different screen also not needed. You got it, right? Same page, but like delete button, and that will only come here if you pass the admin parameter, like question mark is role equal to admin. Then you display the delete button. This will
Got it.
help to avoid the accidental delete. But if somebody or that instead of admin, it is very user. If you don't want to give very obvious thing, then we can see role equal to a blah 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 thing. So that would be difficult to guess.
Yeah.
And
Some kind of a password.
yeah, some kind of password. But it should be just query. It should textual visible. It should not be authenticated. Not need to be encrypted. Nothing. Just a kind of query parameter.
Yeah. Got it.
So that is about the feature set. And once we have that the same page, right, we have to think like once we build like Hacker News and for example GitHub, this same Twindle thread will capture that information also. The same page, we have to come up with generic data model. But now I don't want to stress too much. We can refactor again because that like and retweet may not be valid, and it would be some more information, but it would be filtering and other thing. All information should be relevant.
Yeah.
Okay. And the Twitter, you do you have any question about this? This is the minimal viable product now.
Yeah, this looks at least as an MVP, it is feature complete, and it provides all the essential features that someone would be wanting in terms that they can find out what are the most popular tweet threads that are being read, and they can directly take the ID from this website and generate the PDF to their Kindle. So I think yes, that does solve the problem.
Okay, perfect. And also maybe we can give some copy to clipboard or that kind of beautiful thing. We can anyway do that. Just copy that ID. No need to click the link and copy that.
Yeah, of course.
That is a bit easy. So for example here, right, Twitter API is just we have put lots of stuff there. We have to clean up the code, but we don't need anything else. We just need like API key, tweet ID. We have to pass ID and get all the required information. That's it.
Yeah.
So we don't need search, we don't need user timeline, we don't need any other API call.
Yeah.
And it is a backend, so we can have use somebody key, but it would be, we'll discuss more on that, whose key we'll use, and I'll create my personal user, or I'll apply something that we'll discuss later, but we can use it.
We could, yeah, we could also have something like an array of keys, all of our keys pulled in, and then maybe at random it will pick a key whenever it's fetching. So then we could have a larger like limit.
No, that would be a security risk, because if I able to fetch it, right, then where to store it? Because whose key he should only see that.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
And here we won't get any limit, because this should be only executed once you will submit the button.
Yeah.
It won't hit any limit.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the monthly limit for that. That is why I just thought about.
Okay. But I don't think it will hit any limit, because we'll just submit button, will maximum 1000 request will make, for initially
Yeah.
it should be fine. Just one tweet
Yeah,
ID.
sure.
And I don't think there is even restriction also.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's fine. That's not a issue, I think. But this thread, right? Currently, it has lots of unnecessary code that needs to be cleaned up.
Yeah.
But it should be very minimal. And I don't like to introduce, but we have to do that. Okay. And about the stack,
Yeah.
right?
This
Yeah, go ahead.
mm. No, so my this quick thought was this Twitter API. If you look at it right now, we are utilizing it in the CLI. and now we are also utilizing it in this web front end. So then it might, yeah, maybe not right now, but it might make sense to create some kind of a yarn workspace kind of a setup where we have all these like Twitter APIs into a separate global level package, and from that, all the other packages can import. I don't know if you're familiar with this yarn workspace and this learner kind of a concept where we have
Yeah,
multiple
yeah, I
packages.
understand. But actually, see, I want to keep it very minimal because the Twindle CLA project, right? Without
Mm,
worrying about anything else, it can evolve. That has more
mm,
Twitter complexity. And this guy is only have
mm.
to call one API call. That's it. If you put into one file also, right? I'm fine with that.
Yeah, we can just copy one API. Yeah, got it. Yeah,
Yeah, because he
got it.
already copied it. It is just kind of simple. There is no
Yeah, that's, yeah, understood.
and in future also there is no scope for any growth. I'm thinking that there is no need for calling any other API apart from Tweet ID because we'll move to Hacker News, we'll move
Yeah.
to GitHub, we'll move to some other thing. But there would be Twitter related work. I don't see anything to make it complex, to make it reusable code and other thing.
Mm,
Sometimes
mm,
duplicate also in the
got it.
microservices, right? Sometimes duplicate code also help just
Mm,
to enable, parallel development. See, we put bunch of thing,
okay.
but Twitter API. See, this is the only fetch.
Mm.
Like
Yeah, got it.
we have just endpoint, we fetch it and we get it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. I think, yeah, we can just have this copied.
Yeah. But we just have to remove this unnecessary search, timeline, and lots of error handling and helper and all this junk we have to remove. There is no need for much more complexity.
Mm,
Better to keep
yeah,
simple. If there is no relevant, we are just adding just to fetch the like and retweet. That's it.
yeah, yeah, that's true.
And backend will still we would try not to use so many dependency. If you use dependency, right, then our package size will be increased, and we'll have security vulnerabilities, and there are lots of issues. So instead, if there is no need, right, better to avoid with so many dependency. Even though we are using
Mm,
Express, that is fine, but we should use whatever the core minimum we try to live with.
yeah,
And MySQL or
yeah, yeah.
it doesn't matter any whichever the database we'll use, we'll decide whichever is better, maybe Postgres or something else. But I actually
Mm.
there are some ORM also available, right?
Yeah, there should be. I'm not too familiar with it, but yeah, there are.
Then ORM
I
will
think, yeah, ORM would, take care of the database side.
now the benefit of ORM what will happen because if you tightly write one
Mm,
MySQL database, then we can't change it
mm,
effectively
mm.
because in the Java world that ORM is very popular, for example, Hibernate, other thing. So it is just database layer is
Mm,
completely hidden. It's just set of configuration file, host name, and
mm.
So I think Node ARM also available. Maybe we can explore to use it.
Mm.
Then what will happen in
Got
the
it.
local installation, right? If you see MySQL, somebody to run it, so they need to install MySQL and do all this thing. But if you use Node ARM, there are
Mm.
lots of in-memory database which will be installed as a. I'm
Mm.
sure that it would be available as a Node package or something. It will start by
Got it.
itself and load some data, test it, and it will die.
Got
So
Hello?
yeah, hello. Your voice drop for a few seconds. Hello.
Yeah, Profil. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So now I think Guru is coming up with the MySQL. I'm fine, but eventually, right? I'm more, you also you are a little bit busy next week, but the direction would be to
Mm.
use some ORM. So ORM would help you,
Mhm.
based upon some configuration, right? It will use in memory. so that for the local development, then no need to install, any database, other things. Is just able to focus on other work.
Okay, got it.
And
I think I did not take a good look at the code, but I think he is using some kind of SQL adapter or something like that. I'm not very sure. But yeah, if that has, like you mentioned, if that has a in-memory database for local development, then yeah, we don't need to fiddle around with installing MySQL database and all those kind of things. So that would make sense.
yeah, the ORM we should able to switch it effortlessly without changing the code, because our SQL other thing, right, is not very complicated. It is simply a
Hmm.
database. We have simple
Hmm.
queries where conditions, so any ORM will support. Even though now ORM are so matured, like any join, any
Hmm.
relational, any issue you have, it will support it. So it'll adapt a pattern,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
But
Hmm.
if you
Hmm.
write all
Yeah.
the MySQL database, so later if you try to switch it to Postgres or something, it would be tough. And I don't want now at this age we don't want
Hmm.
to
Got it.
everybody has to install MySQL. That is for only one table. And pointing to some kind of
Hmm. Yeah.
clouded hosted and giving them access everybody user ID password also, that is not a good idea in terms of security. Even though we
Yeah.
host in some
Yeah.
parcel or somebody or AWS, but it is not recommended to give all publicly access. So locally, people only focus on the local setup, like in-memory DB, that will just boot and do the job.
Hmm.
And in the server, right, we can have any hosted MySQL or Postgres or whatever maybe. So that part you may
Hmm.
want to
Hmm.
explore it.
Yeah. Like it just because you mentioned in yeah. No, but I was saying like because you mentioned in memory, or even something like SQLite, that would also be fine, right? Because it's very small in this case.
Anything which is no need for installation. When we run the npm start, right,
Mm, mm,
it should bootstrap and create that database insertion, and it will run some predefined insert statement, and it should have some dummy data. Then people should able to test it out.
mm, mm, yeah, got it.
So there are lots of SQLite, H2 database, and there are so many things. And for Node.js world also, there should be some couple of options.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah, and this will be everything will be deployed into the AWS. I'm not going to this Lambda approach at this stage because that will unnecessarily complicate the thing, and local development it has restriction. So let it evolve as the express this application,
Mm,
so which will
mm,
help us to
yeah.
uh, do the speedy development, because AWS would be a bottleneck.
Okay.
But this will be deployed on the AWS,
Mm,
and
mm.
that I will be take care. So no need to worry about anybody like how to deploy
Ah,
into AWS. That is my headache.
okay. Okay.
And if somebody want to learn, definitely I'll guide them each step by step, or I'll create some video just for learning. But because the server other
Yeah.
thing, right? It is too many people having access. It would be having some security issues, because people can run the Bitcoin
Yeah.
mining, and we should not share. You should not share your server detail to me, and I should not share to mine to you,
Yeah.
because we don't know, right? Intentionally, you may not want to do bad thing, but the how you handle the safety practices, so you may be compromised.
Mm, mm, mm. Got it. Yeah.
If you say the clear text password, somebody hack it into your system, then the server would be compromised.
Yeah. Exactly. And then the bill would be mind blowing
Yeah, yeah. Then it
unless you
will,
have a
yeah.
limit set for it.
So it would be big risk. So hosting and
Mm,
deployment part, I'll take care of it. So only local testing
mm,
that we need to understand clearly, because and we
mm,
unnecessarily to worrying too much about hosting, that is better to avoid it, because I'm saying that I'll take care of it, means that how to deploy it, how to do that, I'll
mm.
handle it.
Okay.
Okay. And the front end,
Yeah.
right, as we agreed yesterday, we'll use Svelte, and we'll see it is like freehand. Like let him Puru or somebody, Amin or somebody interested, they can explore it, and it is very easy to use it. So
Mm,
this front end, right, we'll try to keep it separate so that we can deploy into the S3, AWS S3.
Mm, mm, mm.
It is like same as
Okay.
Netlify Fly and other thing, because I just want to use only AWS stack so that everything will be consistent, and there are so many good solutions. Better not to debate it and explore all this thing. It doesn't make any difference. End of the day, we have a URL. People
Yeah.
should able to access that. I will take
Yeah.
care of it. So local development, you do whatever you
Yeah.
like, but
Okay.
Vercel, other thing like Netlify, and better not to debate on that. You end of the day, they are just wrapper.
Mm,
And as I said, security practice, you are not going to deploy it anyway there. Locally, if somebody want to
mm, mm,
deploy it just to show some example, he is free to go there. If, for example,
mm,
Puru want to deploy into Vercel or something just to show the demo, he can do that.
mm.
But
Yeah.
eventually, our production main site, right? There shouldn't be any dependency about other provider. That Git
Yeah.
commit and automatic CI/CD, AWS also supported. If you see Netlify, Vercel or everything, they under the hood, they must be. I'm 100% sure they must be using AWS or Azure or Google Cloud. These three provider only they're using,
Yeah.
and they will do
Yeah.
some better UI layer and make the price more.
Yeah.
And AWS, there is no concern. I'll be completely owning that, because that would be. I'm not. The main reason is the security issue, nothing else.
Mm, mm.
That we
Yeah.
can't allow it to give to everybody. Even you also, I can't give, Kenny.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
you understand the risk, right?
Yeah. I got the idea. Yeah.
But locally, right? Better not to locally only. Better to test locally and see in local host and push into the code, and people who want to run it, they can able to run. But if you really want to show it in some kind of demo to somebody, then you can just deploy it and do that. But anyway, that see, whenever
Yeah.
the code is in some say, I can deploy it that day itself. In AWS also, I am quite familiar, and I am.
Mm,
It is not a big deal.
yeah.
I have to just agree API key, other thing, everything set up, and I just have to push somewhere. Because I hosted
Yeah.
Twindle.co, right? I'll just create some Twindle core site thread up, and I can just link all the things, so we can already have the domain. So I can create one subdomain, and I can
Yeah.
put it, so all people can
Yeah.
able to see
Exactly.
it. And that won't be live anyway. That is a dev model.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
so we discuss about technical stack. Any question about the technical stack here?
No, I think it is pretty straightforward, and using Svelte, I think beginners and more experienced people will both find it very easy, I suppose. Like doing vanilla JavaScript has its own problems. We might not have a good direction to follow, but Svelte will give us some kind of a structure to follow. So that is a good thing. And the backend part, like you mentioned, as long as we are having the ORM and it is like in the development stage, anyone can run it without installing any dependency like MySQL or any other database. That would be a big plus. We should ensure that it is portable in that sense, so that anyone can just spin it up and then test it out. So I think since those dependencies are not required, I think it would be very easy for anyone to just download it and then npm start it. So uh, and the features, like we already discussed, it is kind of feature complete in terms of the minimum viable product. And then we can, as we move along, we can add more features as we see that they are needed. So this is a good minimum feature set to start out with. And also the Twitter API, like you mentioned, just we just need to get a context about the tweet rather than just showing a tweet ID. So just to fetch some details about the tweet, the author. I think that also is already, we don't have any restriction with the 7 days or anything. So I think that should also be fairly straightforward. So yeah, it looks good overall.
Okay. Thank you. And one the last thing, Kenny.
Yeah.
Actually, this Puru also raised. Instead of creating the multiple repository, right? See, this multiple repository creation is everybody like it. Even personally, I like it. If you remember, I already
Mm,
created it. But the problem is that, right?
mm,
Because we have to guide people to go to some other repository to play around the code. And also we have to create
mm,
multiple issues, multiple PR. So that would be a little bit difficult. So for the timing, right, we'll keep under this Twindle thread only, even though our project is growing, but it is okay at this stage. Till we don't have any live product and it is not reached to the stage. So we'll still create here a Twindle thread, but eventually we'll move it to some other, repository, but not now. If you move to other repository, right, people don't know, they have to go to other C, and new people also can't find it easily. There would be a friction into going to some other thing, fork it and check out. And we also, as a maintainer, we have to create issues in multiple places, and we have to go pull it in multiple places. That would be unnecessarily headache.
Yeah, I agree with this. Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll keep it simple because we have very lean team and simple, and we are working couple of key contributor. We'll keep it here. And if somebody, example, if somebody in VS Code, you don't want to check out everything, in VS Code you can browse and only check out this Twindle thread, add this folder. So you won't see anything else, right?
Yeah.
So you'll only focus on that, your work.
That also works.
Yeah. So you clone everything, but
Yeah.
yeah. So that is the last thing. Yeah. So I think we have a good objective, right, about the Twindle thread project.
Yeah, definitely.